Hello, hello. In this video I'm going to show you how this bank works, and I'll just demonstrate the workings of it again shortly. So you call your respective vault number, you put your stuff in here you want to deposit. Of course, stuff you already have in the vault comes out inside this box. And to do a deposit, you can take whatever you want from here, and to do a deposit you just press on this button. And there's a minimum of 12 seconds in the back for all the things to be transferred back inside the vault, and then a green flash appears, and then we can exit the bank, right? So this is empty, we can now exit, stuff is successfully stored. Now if I go back here, I can actually go to the physical vault where the stuff is deposited. It is exactly this one. Here are the items, right? Here's what I've taken out, I can put it back in here. And as you can see, this number here matches with what I've called through that phone over there. The way this works is that every vault has a set of 2 pumps, a memory cell, a chest of course, and a phone. Each phone has a separate ID, or like a separate number, of course. The idea is that when you call a phone, this will set up a memory cell, essentially signaling to the system that this vault is being chosen. It's the current vault we're working with. So you can pump items inside it, or you can pump items outside it. Now, in order to prevent multiple calls from happening and basically locking in multiple vaults at the same time, we use an AND gate here, connected to this system over here, which might seem quite complicated, but it's really simple. Basically, let's do a call on a specific vault. So let's pick this vault here, probably empty. Okay, cool. I'm gonna copy this number. I can use any phone to call that, doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna call this. As you can see, that phone right there is ringing, and it actually activated this memory cell right here, which branches off to more things in the circuit, right? But this is important. Like, this is the only connected one. All of the other memory cells are offline. So if I would call this one here, okay, let me get to this phone. So let's call it. That is ringing, but as you can see, the memory cell is still off because the AND gate prevents it from actually doing anything. And why does this AND gate prevent it? Because when you activate a memory cell, there's a wire coming all the way back inside this mechanism here, going up this pyramid. And if you see that this light over there is green, that means every other call is being blocked from the system. So you can only have one call being made at a time, right? Okay, so this is how the vault selection works. So you can see this vault is selected. Now we have 2 pumps, and we have 2 modes. We have the blue mode and we have the orange mode. The blue mode means you pump stuff out of this box and you put it in the interface box, and the orange line is doing exactly the reverse of this. So when you're trying to deposit stuff, you're depositing it through the orange cable. Basically, you put power on the orange cable, right? So as you can see, there are some splitters over here. So this is for volt out and volt in, right? So the contacts go into the pumps and so on. Ideally, what we want to happen is we want, upon selection, we want the this pump carrying the stuff out to the interface box to kick in, right? So this is why we have some 2 memory cells here. One memory cell basically says that if the bank is like in a work state or not, if it can accept new phone calls or not. And this one is basically indicated if we are in pushing or pulling mode, right? So you can see the difference between the orange and the blue cables and so on. If the bank is working and we're either in, volt out or volt in modes, these cables go all the way through here, through these things, and actually connecting to all the volts, but only the volt that has the memory cell on will kick in the pumps, right? So to get stuff from the vault, from the bank to the interface box, we just hook everything in some combiners, and the items will just pass through this pipe here. And this is why we have a hatch. Pipes can cross hatches or like doorways, but you cannot cross walls. It's not like cables. It's not like with cables. You actually need to have a viable way to pass and so on, right? But that's just like details. When we try to pull stuff back, we activate this main pump that pulls the stuff back from the interface to this box, and this box then gets routed either to this box or directly to one of the 3 vaults. These are quick access vaults. They only go through one buffer chest in order to get here, and all of the other vaults are kind of slower because the items need to cross from the interface chest to this first buffer box, and because we cannot place an unlimited amount of industrial outputs, we need to route some items through this pump into the second buffer box so we can have 4 more outputs on this one, and then, you know, we just hook up everything to its respective blocks. These are some power splitters. They just serve powers to the memory cells and the phones. This is a pump strobe circuit. What happens here is that this actually goes on and off very quickly. It flickers, and it makes sure that, as you can see, all the pumps have a turn on. Maybe I should be able to find it. There's a turn on contact here, so you want to make sure you spam that so everything is on, because by default they're off. Right, so you don't want to do that manually. Now, if any of the pump filter is still pumping items, there is a contact saying pump filter pass or something like that, right? So that gives off some current. We come with that current here. We amplify the currents because it's a really weak current, so we amplify that. We pass it through a bunch of OR gates, and at the end, if anything is pumping through the system, this will be active, so we know that we want to prevent any shutting off of the system, so you don't get items trapped like midway from the interface box to the bank vaults, because we don't want to mess up our clients' items, right? We don't want to, you know, scramble items around. Now, this is another circuit that's really important. It's a rise edge circuit. The idea here is that you have an input line and an output line out of this circuit. And the output only flashes once, briefly, when you connect a line that is like always on in. So what I mean by this is when you call a number in the back, this system here activates, basically saying like, okay, we have a number selected, but that number might stay selected for like 5 minutes, or it kind of depends on how long it takes a player to do a transaction, right? But we only want a signal to flash once when a new call arrives, because we want to go through this green line over here. Let me show you, to reset the system, kind of. So this gets in a system reset thingy. It resets the state of our system. So when a phone call arrives, we're gonna put the system into work mode and activate the pumps and so on. So it's like essential for this circuit, you know, to get just a pulse once for a signal that would actually be active for a very long time. Same thing happens here, and we actually duplicated this here. This circuit is used like in various moments of the program, let's say execution. This one actually controls the main pump, and you see there is a line connected here, the yellow line connecting into this. When you press the button inside the interface to do a deposit, you want to make sure it pumps as long as there are still items to be pumped and shut off as fast as possible, but you don't want to shut off too early because you don't want to have items left in these routing chests or buffer chests. So this is what takes care of that specific thing. The yellow line is the exact line I showed you in the back. That, you know, if any pump is still pumping, that yellow line will be active. And that's about it. There are many test generators I use here. It doesn't suck that much current, but I decided to just use them for ease of designing, because I didn't really want to beat my head around how to make it like very, very efficient. Supposedly, if you play on a server, if you really want to implement this on a live server, you can just slap in some solar panels, hook them up to batteries and so on. Who knows if this circuit will ever be used ever again. It took me hours to hook it up, but I guess that's it, you know. Really fun experiment to play with. I'm never gonna do this again. Okay, see ya, bye.